Hello and thanks for staying with us. Welcome to Political Platform on Repa Radio and Africa Independent Television, AIT. My name is Amechi Anakwe. Now, the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, has its hands full at the moment. The party registered via a court order is fighting to quash another order of the same court, setting aside its earlier directive to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to register NDC. The NDC joins the African Democratic Congress and other opposition political parties that are fighting for their lives in court. With less than 7 months to the election, the key opposition parties are not yet certain they will be on the ballot. Are these challenges before them ordinary or premeditated? We will take a look at the crisis rocking opposition parties in Nigeria with reference to the latest party to face judiciary interrogation, the NDC. We'll be joined by the national leader of the party and senator representing Bayelsa West Senatorial Constituency in the Senate, Sarake Dixon. We will also take a look at the progress of the constitutional amendment process for the establishment of state police in Nigeria. The two chambers of the National Assembly have passed the bill, but there are provisions that are awaiting harmonizations. While the Senate version contains 26 clauses, that of the House of Representatives has 18. Now, there's a lot of fence mending to be done. How are the states, especially the Houses of Assembly, poised to deal with the constitutional amendment process as the bill gets to them? We will offer perspectives. My colleagues are here with me, Mustafa Mohammed and Uju Ejeye, gentlemen of the press, welcome.
Thank you. Good morning.
So the state establishment of state police amendment, constitutional amendment bill will soon get to the state assembly, but harmonization to be done, differences in the one passed by the Senate and House of Representatives. One would think that based on the urgency the National Assembly is approaching it with, it will be done in record time.
Ideally, that's the process, that's the procedure. Harmonization before you transmit to the state houses of assembly or the president or whatever, the bill is. And recall that when the spokesperson of Nigerian Senate came the other day when he appeared, he gave us the impression that all of those hurdles have been scaled, that it's just a matter of transmitting the bill to the state houses of assembly to review and work on. I think, like you mentioned, the urgency of the situation demands that they do that quickly, except, of course, if they are looking at the oppositions against the bill, people like Baba Ahmed and the rest of them and some other groups. But I think that they should really hurry up.
You see, a lot of Nigerians also, despite those who are against the bill, felt that the state police might give Nigerians hope, even with the new dangers, recurring security problems like the killing of this peacemaker, MacBan leader in Benue and others. And let me tell you, the earlier the state police comes into effect, the better. And a lot of Nigerians are surprised that the three local government chairmen, the DPO, the traditional rulers from these places that called for the peace meeting that later claimed the life of this Makban chairman, Adam Morisco, have not been suspended, have not been arrested, even though the police have said they have carried out some arrests. The biggest question is, state police or not, how far so far with this ethnic, tribal killing, revenge, cycles of revenge, will this thing continue even when the state police comes to be?
Well, all eyes on the states, as it were. First, there are some states that appear to have put in place mechanisms for state police. Some states would align with the reality when state police is...
Comes into effect.
Yes, Ondo State with his Amoteku, late governor, former governor of that state, did so much to really get that outfit going. So for states like that, it will be easy for them to transit. Enugu State with his surveillance control center. Then for the state assemblies, that will be the next port of call. Recall that the chairman of the Conference of Speakers of State Houses of Assembly is the
Delta State
Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly. And so it's one person that has always been at the forefront for the establishment of state police. Do you envisage, Juju, that the state assemblies will also approach it with haste the way the National Assembly did?
I think that since they are already in agreement, it makes the job much easier. I mean, the speaker, who is the Delta State Speaker, who is the head of the Conference of Speakers of the State Houses of Assembly, is in agreement already. The governor of his state is in agreement, and then the other members of the Conference of Speakers are in agreement. So it's just a matter of reviewing, and maybe putting in some checks and balances to avoid abuse, looking at those things that will make that would ensure that no state governor or state agent abuses it if it comes into effect, if it comes in as the law. So I think it's just a matter of reviewing and ensuring that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And then it shouldn't. And then I think that most of us said something that I think, you see, the police obviously is doing its work. Mentioning people to be arrested, I do not think it's... I think that if those people need to be arrested, the police would ensure that they are arrested. Obviously, investigations are going on.
The police in Benue has already arrested 10 persons in connection with that.
Yes, but he's talking about the conveners of the meeting, the fact that they convened the meeting does not automatically mean that they are guilty. And
it's even the additional police officer that convened the meeting.
Yes, so they should be able
but beyond that,
take care of the situation.
Beyond that,
yes.
The bill envisages that some states may not be in a best position for some time to establish state police. Some persons are already doing the mathematics, financial involvement. It will run into hundreds of billions of naira for these states that are struggling to pay salaries and meet their financial commitment. What provisions are they doing, are they making to indeed hit the ground running? But there are provisions in the bill. If states are not yet ready, the federal police will still be offering services at a time.
Before we get to that, the reason why I mentioned that DPO should step aside and be arrested is that some of the police officers cannot be trusted. Look at what happened to Khairi, that Islamia school teacher at Marabanjos about 10 days ago, when some women falsely accused her being a child abductor or kidnapper. It was the DPO there that pulled her out. The video is there everywhere. Handed her over to the mob to be killed and burnt. He has been arrested now. So why wouldn't this person be arrested now? But going beyond that, administration of a police in a state is not a joke. That's why even if all the state houses of assembly have agreed, just like the National Assembly agreed and passed the bill, they need at least 1 year to put logistics in place. If I say logistics, what do I mean? You need to provide their uniform, accessories, and kits. You need to provide their vehicles. You need to provide training. You can't just give people uniform to go and start police work. It's not a native authority police. You need to also provide the barracks, build barracks all over the local government in various locations. Do we want the state police to be lacking in so many things like the federal police? There are so many inadequate matters in terms of logistics for operations and welfare that the federal police are lacking. And there must be a benchmark of salary. How much are you going to pay these policemen and women that you are going to recruit? Are you going to pay them like primary school teachers?
Each state will fix his own.
You see, that is where the
federalism at its peak, because this issue of having a uniform minimum wage, but we have seen a difference. Some states are paying more. So for as minimum wage, so as with the state police, some states will pay
President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is giving a lot of billions to the governors now. That's why they are building overhead bridges, underpass, airports.
Just 1 second, Mustafa. Is it the president that is giving them, or what is due to them from the federal?
No, what we are talking. I'm talking about is that under this administration, the removal of fuel subsidy, the government has channeled a lot of money into the state coffers in the name of federal allocation, so they can use that money to revamp whatever thing they intend to give with logistics to the state police, as well as their health workers and primary school teachers. You can build all these bridges and roads, but it's humans that will run these organizations like the state police. And you don't allow them to live on low wages while you are expecting that they should give you the best. We'll have another crisis.
Why I raise the issue with Mustafa, whether is it because I'm seeing a new narrative. Oh, the president, the money does not belong to the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
No, of course.
It belongs to the Nigerian Federation. What is coming to the state is what is due to them. So this narrative of, the president, no. Yes, you can give the president the credit.
That's what we are talking about, Amechi.
And of course, he also removed fuel subsidy, and more are going in. But that's where the credit ends. The money does not belong to him.
It doesn't
because
belong.
Before long, you see it as,
money.
It's a lifeline from the federal government. It's not.
Yes, the money belongs to the federation. It's not anybody's personal money, and it's being shared to states as per their allocation that is approved for those states, particularly those in the Niger Delta. So I think that we know Mustafa made some points about being able to work out the logistics that would empower the state police to work effectively. I think that right now we are still having problems about the federal police even having proper uniforms. Some of them are sewing uniforms for themselves. Some of them are buying their shoes. That's why you see them wearing different kinds of sandals, different kinds of shoes. I think these are things that need to be worked out. But again, I do not think that it should hinder or hamper the progress of the ensuring that the state police comes into effect. It is something that should be worked out between the executive and the legislature of every state. Of course, the legislature would come in and approve whatever is necessary, and the governor should be able to work these things out effectively, because, like he also mentioned, more money is coming in. The governors also have security votes. If truly they know that security is one of the very first things, or the first thing that should be ensured in every state, for the state to make progress or for a country to make progress, then they should give it all it takes. What are their security votes for? What is the extra money coming in from FAC for? They should be able to give priority this time to where priority belongs.
My concern is for the federal police when state police is created, because as it were, all the state governments are part of the funding of the federal police structure, especially for operations within their state. Building facilities, procurement of vehicles and all that are borne by the state. For instance, Delta State government is building divisional police headquarters across all the local government areas.
25 local governments.
In other places, there's no commissioner of police that can operate successfully without huge financial support and subvention from the state government. Now, if state police is created and states channel their resources to their own police, will the federal government channel enough resources?
But again, the
government?
responsibility of the federal police will be reduced because most of the work that they do in the states will now be taken over by state police. So they may not even need the level of funding that they require right now.
So you envisage that the number of federal police will reduce?
Of course. Now, I strongly believe that, because what would they really be doing? Now they are in all the states. Then they wouldn't need to be in all the states. Some of them, I believe, will be converted.
It may not necessarily
but
reduce. In the long term, it shouldn't reduce because of the huge security implications and huge security challenges
I'm not
we have
saying-
on our hands. We are under-policed.
I'm saying some of them may be converted to the states to go and help out.
That will not be very correct. The reasons why we have the army all over the country, whether in Zamfara, Katsina, Sokoto, Borno, Yobe, Adamawa, military checkpoints
Every state
everywhere.
of the federation
Yes,
has got military
because
operation
the Nigeria police was overwhelmed. They can no longer carry out those duties effectively. Insecurity everywhere. That's why the Nigerian army has to come up and set up checkpoints, go on operations here and there. The airport has to carry out bombings here and there. So no matter how many state police you create at the moment, the Nigerian nation needs the federal police. All we need to do is to provide more funds for logistics, more training, more funding for welfare. They should have barracks, they should have vehicles, they should have communication gadgets. You see the way the other countries handle their police in the movies.
Modern technology.
Okay, go ahead.
So like I'm saying that you need to give them all that they require. That will challenge them to do better. And then the other danger of the state police that many people have been talking about is that when they are under the state governors, the ability to compromise is highly there. But once you have the federal police, if you have any case under the state police that you are not comfortable, you go to the federal police. And of course, the federal police also need to checkmate and correct some of its system. You go into a police station, you want to file a case, they will ask you to give maybe 5,000 to open a file. The federal government is supposed to be funding the police. Why do you need to give money to the police to open a file for you? This and so many. You have to accompany them to arrest somebody or some people, you provide the logistics. Then I still remember when they move about, collect 2 liters of fuel from every person who is doing black market around the FCT. We have seen those periods. So how do we go beyond that? Give them whatever thing they need. Let it trickle down to all the operatives. Even if they are going on assignment, election, or whatever, let them have their allowances. For God's sake, these are human beings. If we treat them badly, we shouldn't expect anything good to come out from them.
Yeah, of course, we are looking at it in the light of the creation of the state police. Of course, that's the responsibility of the federal government. The federal government has a duty to equip the police effectively and provide all their needs, particularly modern technology. Policing has gone beyond all this paka, cut and sew that we used to do. The world has gone technological in policing.
Kinetic and non-kinetic.
Yeah, both kinetic and non-kinetic. So you see that the federal government has a lot of work to do with the federal police, but now putting it beside the state police, of course, the governors may not be as involved as they were with the federal police because they would not need to take care of the state police. And it is their duty, just like it's the duty of the federal government to take care of the federal police.
Now look at the FCT, for example, Abechi. The major bus stops like Area 1, Bega, Wuse, AYA, Nyanya bus stop. Do we even have these modern CCTV cameras that somebody will sit or some people will sit at particular terminal and watch what is happening, who passed, which vehicle, what happened. Just like in Mombasa, in Kenya, at the touch of a button, they can pull in or zoom in, and they can deploy within 5 minutes.
Some states have that already operational. So Enugu State, for instance.
It's not just about bringing about the state police. So there are so many things that they need that will help modern policing. Once they do that, it even makes the job very easier for them. Look at the prisons across the country. It's not just the police, even the judiciary. They make an arrest. They couldn't conduct much investigations because funds, logistics are not there. They bring somebody to the court, they arraign. He will end up being remanded. Something that even if he is convicted, he will spend 2-3 months or pay fine of 20,000. He will end up spending 6-7 years in the prison. So it's the entire holistic.
Absolutely. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll take a look at the challenges before opposition parties in Nigeria. Key opposition parties are battling court processes. The Nigeria Democratic Congress, the latest. To stay with us.
Stories now break online. Don't miss anything from our real-time updates and exclusive content. Follow and participate in discussions on live TV studio programs to shape the narratives. Subscribe, engage, and share from AIT.live at AIT_online on X, AIT Online on Facebook, Official AIT Live on Instagram, TikTok, and Threads on YouTube. Stay connected with AIT on air, online, online.
Get ready for a bold new chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypower Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Thank you so much for staying with us. Now, what parties will be on the ballot? What candidates will be on the ballot come January 2027, when presidential elections are scheduled to hold in Nigeria? The ADC is battling issues of factionalization, matter before the court. A federal high court in Abuja, presided over by Justice Lilfu, asked INEC to withdraw the recognition given to the party, insisting it should be the registered court of appeal. State action, and the matter is before it. Same also now with the Nigeria Democratic Congress, NDC, Lokoja High Court, that indeed granted ordered INEC to register NDC in the first place. It's the same court that have withdrawn that order given to INEC, saying the matter the NDC brought before it should begin afresh. And so the key questions remain, like we have posed earlier, will these parties be on the ballot? Well, issue of court cases. I wonder how these parties will be struggling with preparations for the elections when their attention and energy will be focused on dealing with the judicial matter.
Of course, it's obvious that they are destabilized for now, either way you look at it, because that air of uncertainty is not one. You can hardly plan effectively when there's an air of certainty and you do not know how the pendulum will swing. So if it is a strategy by the ruling party, I don't know. I think that is one that you could say is a mean one. And if it is not, I think that the judiciary, also we've said it so many times, the judiciary should be careful the way it handles politics and political parties. If you must do these things, do them at the right time and stop giving the same court said register, the same court is saying don't register. I think that the judiciary should really be careful because this democracy, the judiciary is almost making it to look fragile. And if it is fragile, then there's certainly problems that would need to be tackled and that may affect this democracy, our hard-fought democracy. A lot of people have pointed out many things that the judiciary has done that may not be really right. Even the appeal court came out to lambast Justice Lifu, because of that judgment. For how long are we going to keep going this rigmarole? And then the elections are right there. I think that we should be very, very, very careful, whether the ruling party, the judiciary, whatever is behind what is going on and all these court cases and judgment. And even the people who are doing hatchet jobs should think more about Nigeria. They should put Nigeria first. They should put this democracy first. Would they prefer another kind of government? We know what it was before people fought, gave their lives, gave their sweat, their money, went to prison to make sure that this democracy comes into effect and that it stands. Why truncate everything? Why?
I'm just thinking about the NJC. Some of these judges, the action of some of these judges need to be reviewed with immediate punitive measures. We shouldn't have a judge giving a judgment and later coming back to contradict himself. It's a different ball game altogether. If somebody has...
But it is said that there are provisions for a judge to take another look at a judgment.
Himself. That does not mean that if you take another...
Issues of not improper services and
you
all
see,
that.
You see, the person against whom the judgment is made can actually appeal. And at the appeal court, you may or may not get a different judgment. And just look at the election as it's coming, barely 6-7 months from now. Then you begin to have inconsistencies from the judiciary. Nigerians can never forgive the judiciary for truncating the June 12 election. It's not just the military. You're talking about Association of Better Nigeria under Arthur Inzeribe going to court to get that mushroom judgment to nullify. So basically, you accuse the judiciary of doing that hackage job. So how many such judges do we also have in the system that will try to truncate this process of election for the 2027 general election? One of the past chief justices warned the judges against giving frivolous judgments, against giving frivolous orders, so that they do not push the integrity of the judiciary to a lowest level. And if you look at the history of Nigerian election, since 1999, whenever Nigerians are approaching election, such judgments and such orders keep coming. So who is deceiving who, Doctor?
Well, there's this narrative that is coming up now. Oh, in a contest like this, you have to make sure you defend your boundaries. You have to tread carefully so that you don't give an opportunity for your opponents to come in and destabilize your party and all that. I understand what people are saying, but beyond that, my fear is that we are reducing our political contest to even wars are regulated. The Geneva Convention guides how wars are to be fought. If you can't just kill those that are surrendered and all that.
Prisoners of war.
Democratic contest is guided by certain
norms,
certain rules, certain
guidelines,
certain codes and all that.
Yes.
And part of it is that there are extent to which some interest, I'm not identifying any particular
pushed,
interest.
yeah.
An interest can go in trying to stifle the opposition. There are extent. Because I'm saying this because of the fact that the key opposition parties are having one problem or the other.
Yes.
It's gone beyond being, look at, guard your fences, stay alert to. Some interest trying to destabilize the opposition. A lot of people may be enjoying what is happening, but you talked about the greater threat to our democracy.
Yes.
And that is when we have to be statesmen. You have to be a statesman to understand that there is a need to allow a fair contest as we go into it.
You just hit it.
And we have a responsibility to ensure that. And another implication is that it's making the citizenry lose interest in our democratic process. If you can win, do all within that is required, within the limits of the law, to win squarely.
See, Amechi, it's not just making the citizens, it's not losing interest. It's making them disillusioned. You see, when you lose interest, it's different, but when you're disillusioned, you feel that every situation is now hopeless. There is nobody who can, right the wrongs in this country, in our electoral system. We have challenges. People are not satisfied with what is going on. Their only hope to effect a change or to meet their own personal aspirations as citizens of this country is through the ballot box. Now you are stifling it. You're making it almost extremely difficult for the citizen to have that hope. You're killing the hope of the citizens. And it's a very dangerous thing, one, for the citizen. And then secondly, like you rightly pointed out, we know that politics is a game. Of course, every political party plays that game of trying to
undermine his opponents.
Trying to ensure that his rival or his opposition does not have a free way to, contest, so that it reduces their power, it reduces their chances of winning in the elections. But we must know what not to do. We must know how not to go far. There are limits.
There should be limits.
We must know that there is a limit, so that you do not end up in the quest for you to win the election, the quest for you to get what you want. You not destroy the process, and you destroy the democratic house that has been built by people who paid very huge prices to ensure that we have democratic rule today. I think that they are going too far. The PDP was there. The PDP played its own games, but the PDP as a ruling party did not stifle the APP, the ANPP, the AD. The PDP did not stifle them.
They did to some extent.
I said they played their own game.
I
said they played their own game, but not to this extreme extent. I think that this is going through the extreme and then destabilizing them very close to the elections. It didn't happen. And then even during the 2015, 2019, 2023 elections, it wasn't this bad. It wasn't this bad. Why have we got to this extent? You must not do this winner takes it all thing. You must not do the winner destroys.
I think we need to have serious evidence before we put all the blames and allegations at the doorstep of the ruling progressive.
Nobody has called the name of the ruling party.
No, nobody has called.
We said whatever interest that is pushing it.
No, she's talking about winner takes all, which means the APC is the winner.
No, she didn't mention
I only alluded to what used to be and the fact that wasn't the norm then.
The structure of the democratic practices at the moment is that we do not have independent candidacy. I think our law should have this clause for independent candidacy. Once you have clause for independent candidacy, this crisis between parties and allegations will come down to barest minimum. If you are not from the platform of any political party as an independent candidate, then you don't have any rival, whether you win or lose the election.
Now, I recall what General Abdulsalami Abubakar retired told us recently when he publicly presented 3 of his books, including his biography and all that, that in 1999, Alliance for Democracy on 1998 did not meet the threshold, the criteria to be registered as a political party, but they went beyond the laws. They went beyond the rules. They looked at the wider society. They looked at the political expediency that there is a need to liberalize the political environment.
Yeah.
There is a need to accommodate other interests. And they said, let's go against our rules and laws. Let's register this party. And it helped to douse tension. Now, fast forward to 2027. Now, beyond, you must make sure that you did not infringe on any benefit. You have to, on any rule, you have to look at the wider implications on the society. How will a segment of the society view these actions? And like I said, we didn't name any person. If any interest that are pushing it is what we are pointing our fingers at, whatever interest it is, that interest must understand that beyond that interest to capture power, the Nigerian state,
there is a
the
national
stability
interest.
and security of the Nigerian state should be paramount.
Yes.
So that's food for thought.
Exactly. I mean, whatever we aspire to, if it is not to make Nigeria better, then it becomes very negative and very wrong. So our aspiration should not push us, if truly it is in the interest of Nigeria, to do things that will not destabilize Nigeria. What if there are protests? What if there are a lot of things that this could give rise to. And it will not begin to undermine the peace. In fact, I can't even say peace. We already have as much insecurity as we can handle. We are still struggling to handle them. By the time you now bring in more crisis, of what use would that be?
Well, on Friday on this program, we asked the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority to speak up on the issue of petroleum product prices after international crude oil prices came down, pre-Gulf War prices. The domestic prices in Nigeria failed to reflect this downward movement as much as it did when it went upwards. It was quick to go up alongside prices of international crude prices. Now, after we have made that statement, we are yet to hear a word from the authority, but good enough, the Federal Competition Commission has indeed spoken up saying, even though they don't have the authority to fix or regulate prices of petroleum products, we know where those authority lies, but they have a right to indeed protect Nigerian consumers, and they have expressed the fears most Nigerians have raised concerns about, that there are certain interests that is not allowing these prices to come down. We want to commend them for taking that action. They said they will be carrying out some investigations to find out who are those behind this. The interests of the Nigerian consumer must be protected, and they deserve every support in ensuring that there is fair competition within the Nigerian consumer market.
Yes, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission was very, very emphatic in what it said. It said, look, it said to marketers, cut petrol prices or face sanctions, because it is very, very sensitive to the plight of Nigerians. It is sensitive to the hunger, the torment in the land, if I may put it that way, because a whole lot of Nigerians are grappling with a lot of things. For some, you don't even talk about 2 meals a day or 3 square meals. It is, if they manage to get one, we see poverty, raw poverty every day, even around us, around our immediate environments. We see raw poverty. And so they are very, very sensitive, because they know the extent to which the price of fuel, impacts on the prices of foodstuff. Because the woman who brings in tomato from Jos will tell you, look, I paid, instead of 2,000, I now paid 10,000 to bring it in. And of course, the cost is worked into the sale of the product. And the ordinary Nigerian faces the burden of having to offset that cost. It is not right. I think that the FCCPC has done quite a lot right now and should follow up. If it has to sanction, it must sanction. Let them not just stop here, and let them not be muzzled into keeping quiet, because I know that the petrol cabal is another thing, but let them stand for the Nigerian people this time.
Well, we apologize for the inability of our guest, Senator Sarah K. Dixon, to make it to the studio. we had an agreement, an arrangement to have him join us to speak to the issue of the NDC matter before the court, in Lokoja, withdrawing the order he issued to INEC to have that party registered. Unfortunately, he was unable to make it to the studio. But we'll bring you into the fray now as we go to our feedback segment, Citizens' Perspective, where we are giving you the opportunity to raise issues and share thoughts, opinions about the Nigerian politics, especially as it relates to political development. And the first one is from Adesam, from Wuse2 in Abuja. And it says, last week during deliberations on state police issue, Mustafa Mohammed was the biggest critic of the act by following the words of Mr. P2B that they will use it to rig elections in 2027. But I want to tell both Mustafa and P2B that the way security threat is going on presently, we may not even have a nation called Nigeria, not to talk of elections in 2027. People are extremely scared right now. Not every policy of the government we should criticize because we just have to do so.
Yes, and this one is from Amicho Bochi, who sent it in from Kubwa, Abuja. It says, as we go about our daily activities as though nothing has happened, we should remember that today marks 46 days since these Oyo school children were abducted and taken into the bush. It is heartbreaking that we seem to have become so indifferent to their plight. Why have we lost our sense of humanity? President Tinubu, the First Lady Oluremi Tinubu, Senate President Godswill Akpabio, and indeed all of us continue with our normal lives while these innocent children remain in captivity. Today, it is your school children. Tomorrow, no one knows who may be next. I therefore appeal to President Tinubu to do everything humanly possible to secure the release of these children, even if it means seeking international assistance from countries such as the United States. And the next one is from Collins Eze, also from Kubwa. It says, why commending her for the 50,000 to 150,000 empowerment for Akara and Kulikuli business? The First Lady, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, should kindly leave that level of empowerment for wives of local government chairmen and councillors. I'm sure the logistics for that ceremony alone can send at least 50 Nigerians abroad for proper training on various fields and career. The First Lady should commence on real empowerment that is capable of pulling people out of poverty. And the best way out is teaching them how to fish rather than handing out fishes. If 1,000 young Nigerians undergo proper training abroad on artificial intelligence and probably come back to either lecture or train others in that field, I'm sure this country will benefit more. This should be the pet project our beloved First Lady should be looking at, and not the selling of akara and corn.
Thank you so much for your comments on our feedback segment. In one of the letters we read, our writer is concerned that we appear to have moved forward as a nation. We are talking about frying akara and kuli, forgetting that young children as young as 3-4 years
1 year, 2
are
years,
still in captivity. Day 46, he counted.
day 46.
But I know that the security agencies are not sleeping.
Let's be.
I know they are pushing.
Our security agencies are working. Doctor, this morning, my breakfast on the way to the office was akara and pap by the roadside. There are millions of Nigerian women who are doing that. In the afternoon, others roast corn and bole and fail granola. Are we saying that this is not part of a small and medium enterprise in the country? I think if people want to criticize the First Lady, they should look for something concrete. After all, in the name of empowerment, members of House of Representatives, Senate have given wheelbarrows, cutlasses, shoe-shining kits to people over the years. Maybe if we want to criticize people, we shouldn't just criticize for the sake of talking or criticism. People should look for concrete. And those who are criticizing her, what have they done on their own to others?
You see, I think that the person is not just criticizing her for criticizing's sake. He actually said, that's Colin says, they actually said that she should leave that level of empowerment for local government chairmen and councillors, that at her level, she should be looking at something higher. For instance, if I may just mention,
that's constructive criticism.
Yes.
And the writer deserves kudos.
Exactly.
Because few persons come up with suggestions. And to me, that's quite valid.
But doctor,
Very,
somebody
very,
needs to
very,
be in
very
touch with the
valid.
grassroots as a pastor and teacher.
Yes, that's what she said.
Needs to be in touch with the
She
grassroots.
said local council chairmen and councillors' wives can handle that.
But they have not done it.
And it is understandable. Like most people, when they point out Natasha Akbuti and other lawmakers who give out wheelbarrows and things, you see her own empowerment programs are things that would impact generations. When she gives laptops, she trains them on AI, and I'm not praising her here, but we're looking at the difference between giving them wheelbarrow and giving them those little things. There is empowerment that will empower generations to come. This writer talked about training them in the use of AI, sending like 1,000. Now, by the time that 1,000 comes, like we've said, that technology is the way forward today, not these little things. Yes, they can solve some problems.
Are we
if
saying...
you want a long-term solution to Nigeria's problems, if you want empowerment that will really uplift people and uplift the next generation, it is technology.
Are we saying that
is it? If you send them 1,000, they come back, they train others. Those people they train will train others. Look at the effects. Look at the impact from one session of people to the next one. And then you see, it flows like that. And then people cannot key into the global market. Now we're talking
are we
about just
saying that you
bus
cannot
stop
use
to like Mustafa to drink ogi and have breakfast. We're looking at things that uplift a nation.
You wouldn't
What
allow
has-
another
what has
person to talk.
uplifted China? What has uplifted Japan? What has uplifted Singapore? We're looking at that level of
let's
empowerment.
allow Mustafa before
Are you
he starts
saying
carrying
that
placard.
you're talking about technology? You cannot use technology in the future to roast corn or fry akara or make ogi. There's a factory by a former journalist in Abuja here where he makes kilishi and exports to the United Arab Emirates, Europe, and United States. We are talking about the wives of
And it may
councillors.
worth millions of dollars.
Yes, and we are talking about the wives of councillors. Despite the money the local government is well, it should do that, they are not doing, and somebody up there is doing. What is wrong with that? Let us call a spade a spade. Whoever can empower anybody in the country, no matter how highly placed the person is, whether it's Senator Oluremi, Tinubu, or any minister, or any traditional ruler who can use resources come down from his or high horse to empower people. Let the person do it, and may God bless that person.
And that's where my concern lies. We have reduced our economy, our society to empowerment society. We have reduced government activities and actions to empowerment. Local government chairman, people who demand empowerment, he empowers. Private individuals will empower. National Assembly members, State Assembly members will empower. Ministers will empower. State governments will empower, federal government will empower. Now, is it their real priority to empower, to create the enabling environment for these jobs to be created? Because one of our writers made mention of it. Perhaps we didn't read the mail today. Will you give them fish or you teach them how to fish? We should create an economy that on its own, once it's activated at optimal level, generate jobs rather than this empowerment. And the other concern of mine is illegal offices that are being operated. The office of the wife of the first lady of this, these are not known to the law. Elsewhere, you rarely hear of the wife of the U.S. president except in social function.
Exactly.
Except in social function. But they are beginning to assume a larger than life attitude, down from the local government, down from up to the state and to the federal government. There are bureaucracies, there are institutions that are established to carry out these functions. We must hold them to account and say, do it, and downplay these offices. The other day, Benue State governor appointed, who's not married, who's a reverend father, appointed a lady to oversee the office of the wife of the governor. So already it is a bureaucracy. Where in the law is it exclusive list, concurrent list, and residual list? Do I see office of the wife of the governor. So that is a trend in Nigeria we must discourage. We should not allow them to redefine our governance and the democratic process and impose it on us, and we click onto it and run with it.
I think that the ironic thing is that those in government today, particularly at the federal level, were those who were championing the agitation against the office of the First Lady, including the current president. Most of them, 80% of them, were saying, no, this is not in the Constitution, we must not allow it. And now suddenly it has become fashionable.
And illegal funds are being allocated. They will claim, no, they are not getting allocations, they are getting donations from here and there. But beyond that, to still see public funds go into these offices.
They can operate without that title.
Absolutely. And let's do away, please, with this empowerment economy. It will not lift people permanently out of poverty. Thank you so much for joining us today on behalf of my colleagues. My name is Amechi Anapu. Have a good day.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
Well, we take you down memory lane.
The home of sound, style, variety.